Thank you to The Guardian and E&Y for organizing this Global Public Leader series. All over the world, the business of governance is becoming more challenging. There are at least two pressure points. First, resources are more limited, with pressure to do more, often with less. Many advanced countries are struggling with severe fiscal consolidation programs. Management of high level of sovereign debts means that services to citizens have to be curtailed. With the global outlook mired in uncertainty, fiscal prudence is a primary concern for us. In an open, globalized economy like Singapore, economic volatility is a given. Hence, we have to be very careful about increasing expenditures in unsustainable ways. But our larger resource constraint is that of manpower. Requests for more manpower by our government agencies outstrip what the growth of our resident labour force can reasonably provide. If we want to remain fiscally prudent and keep manpower growth in check, we will need to stay focused on enhancing productivity. Second, citizen expectations are skyrocketing. Our population is becoming more plural, our people have more diverse and complex needs, and there is a growing hunger for participation in governance. The speed and extent of information dissemination make it easier for citizens to communicate these expectations very speedily and repeatedly. What do all these mean for us? A business-as-usual approach in public service delivery is no longer tenable. Public sector transformation is needed to make a decisive difference. Let me share 4 features of the change and innovation we've had to make in our own journey of public service transformation in Singapore. First, whole of government integration in service delivery is key. Government agencies typically design services from the perspective of their own mandates, but increasingly, the services that are required cannot be provided by a single agency alone, but will require several agencies working together to provide an integrated offering. Second, convenient and technology-enabled services are the norm. Citizens want efficient and convenient services, and they want it tailored for them. Technology allows this to some extent. Over the past 2 decades, we've made a decisive move in e-services. Today, we have some 1,600 online services for our citizens to use. The typical Singaporean can register his child for school, pay a parking traffic offence, and renew his library book all online. However, we cannot afford to stand still. With a mobile penetration rate of more than 100%, the citizen can use his mobile phone to report a choked drain, road defects, or unsafe workplace practices on the go. Third, empathy is the watchword. We have made significant strides towards making government services more efficient and effective. But going forward, the emphasis needs to be on empathy. Empathy requires us to take the perspective of the citizen in mind, from the first mile of design to the last mile of implementation. It requires us to conceive of the citizen experience from start to finish and to seek ways to enhance that experience. It also requires careful exceptions handling of customers whose specific circumstances may not fall neatly within the policy parameters we have designed. Fourth, co-production brings about better community buy-in. With our population getting more educated and people wanting to have a say in policies that affect their lives, we need to increasingly move from a model where the government simply decides, to one where the citizens can participate in the design and implementation of services. Government does not have the monopoly of ideas. Technology also allows for collaborative processes between citizens and governments at very low cost. Co-production by the community often results in better buy-in and ownership of the policies and services. Let me share a specific story of Singapore's experience with public service transformation with you. In our tax authority, the Inland Revenue Authority, understanding the key drivers for transformation has created a strong impetus for continuous improvement and innovation against a backdrop where citizens do not particularly like to interact with the agency. Take our tax filing system, for example. I know that April 15 can be a particularly stressful day for many taxpayers all around the world. However, April 15 passes by like any other day for many Singaporeans. There is no chance to joke about many happy returns because many tax-paying Singaporeans do not need to file their tax returns. Rather than solely seeking to increase the rate of e-filing, we decided to reframe the challenge. Recognizing that tax filing is never an enjoyable activity for the taxpayer, we decided to adopt the principle that no need for service is the best form of service. Our no-filing service was introduced in 2007, and today, about half of our tax-paying population have their income details automatically transmitted from their employers to the taxman. And the only change taxpayers need they only need to update their reliefs and claim if there are changes. This means that for many Singaporeans, tax filing is a non-event, and there is in fact nothing they need to do each year to fulfill their tax filing obligations. This is one way we create value for our citizens. In the process, we also create value for the public officers in our tax agency. The no-filing system has significantly reduced the filing load experienced by the taxman during the annual peak filing period. The example I've shared is one where we have been particularly successful in transformation. In other areas, we still have room for improvement. For example, we have a no wrong door policy that was implemented in 2004. This was in response to citizens' difficulties in navigating the vast bureaucracy in search of the right agency to interact with on their specific needs. When agencies receive service requests from citizens that do not fall within their functional domains, they still have a duty to entertain that request by getting the right agency to get in touch with the citizen concerned. This was a good concept, but over time, the number of agencies in the public service had increased, and some citizens started to feel that the no wrong door policy had evolved into a revolving door policy where citizens get referred from one agency to another. We realized we needed a rethink. This year, we introduced a first responder protocol to encourage a just do it mentality or do it first mentality. Under this protocol, we appointed specific first responders to attend to the case immediately. We are still in the early days of this effort, but we believe it will go some way towards meeting the evolving needs of our customers. What do we think we need to do in order to achieve the transformation we desire? We think the most important success factor for public service transformation is leadership. Indeed, leadership is key. Our public sector leaders need to do three things. First, leaders must build the right impetus for change. Leaders must build the burning platform for the change, because change has no constituency. Creating the impetus must begin early. We also believe it is better to change before you have to, before change is forced on you. This requires far-sighted leadership. Second, leaders must have the acumen to assemble and develop the right team of people to get the job done. Wanting to change isn't enough. Capability and capacity for change needs to be built. We need to get our fair share of talent and then invest time and resources in developing them. Thirdly, leaders themselves must be adaptive to change and comfortable with adjustments along the way. The rate of change inside must keep pace with the rate of change outside. Our leaders do not assume that the solutions they have are right for all times, or even for too long. We need to keep reinventing what we do and how we do things. It requires a constant unease about the status quo, and this is not comfortable. One of the agencies we are quite proud of is our Singapore Prisons Service. This is one of our best public service agencies because the leadership is committed and supportive of continuous change and innovation in trying to find new ways of doing more with less. They recently put in place self-service kiosks to allow inmates to carry out simple administrative tasks on their own. This means the processing speed for daily requests is increased, and prison officers now have more time to focus on the more important tasks of rehabilitation. Our focus on rehabilitation efforts have contributed to Singapore having one of the lowest recidivism rates in the world. And for an agency like the Prison Service, no business is good business. In fact, impactful change often requires us to reframe our challenges, but the impetus and ability to do so must be built and nurtured by strong and adaptive leaders. So whether we are the tax authority or the prison service or any other public sector agency, this journey of public sector transformation must be pursued with all our energies because our citizens deserve the best. Thank you very much.